now.
Hi, welcome everybody to our training series for Pac Rim Conference 2022. And today's session with Dr. Tom Conway is for discussants and volunteers on live presentations. This will help prepare you to best support people during the session. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Tom Conway, who is the Director of Training and Instruction at the Center on Disability Studies here at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Tom?
Okay, thank you very much, Raphael, for the introduction. Today's session is mainly focused on discussants who will be participating in the live presentations. So I just want to go over all the live presentation requirements and expectations, so you have some idea what to do when you are asked to be a discussant, and also be able to log in and check it out. So I'm just going to briefly go over these 5 areas: the conference platform, technical requirements, the session support, which you will be a part of, and also the accessibility requirements, and also the timeline that we expect people to either engage with the conference or register or let us know that you will be participating. So for this year, we're using a new platform for the conference. It's a CVent platform. It'll be a completely virtual conference, so we're not trying to reserve rooms or anything else for people to participate in. As a discussant, you will be virtually added into the room where the people will be giving their presentation. Each presenter will be given a web page through the Speaker Resources Center. So expect to receive an invite from both the speaker and also from us. So you'll be able to get on there and also engage with the speaker beforehand. This will give the speakers opportunity to upload their presentation materials, not just their slides, but also anything like a vocabulary list. We want to make sure that the people who are going to be supporting the session have an idea of what your vocabulary is like, and also they'll be able to translate it correctly. You also, the speakers will be given a time for knowing what the tasks are they need to adhere to. So when they get in there, they will be able to get a notice letting them know that they need to get the materials up, who their support people will be, and those type of things. Also, the speakers will be given the opportunity to update their profiles, so they can give them an opportunity to put up their photo, their information, which is, optional. If you don't want to be contacted, if they don't want to be contacted, that's up to them. But we are giving the opportunity to give them an email address, phone number, whatever else, so they will have the opportunity to present that. Also, probably more importantly, they will be given their session times. So everything will be in Hawaii Standard Time. Just be aware of that. If there are many presenters who are coming from from like Japan, Saipan, American Samoa, the U.S. mainland. So just make sure that everything we send out will be done in Hawaii Standard Time. From the East Coast of the U.S., it's about 5 hours. From American Samoa, it's like you're a day ahead of us. So just be aware of the time differences. I just really want to emphasize that. Okay, so as a discussant, we do want you to get in there early, at least 10 minutes before the start time. That way you'll be able to interact with the presenter, and also with the ASL interpreters, and also with the live caption presenters. The length of each session will be about 45 minutes. Just be respectful that there are people who, don't want to go overboard. So you're going to be primarily sort of running the session. Just be aware of that. Make sure you start on time and end on time. We have the suggested time frame here, like 2 minutes to introduce the speaker, 30 to 35 minutes for their present their content. And we're looking for maybe a 10-minute discussion question and answer session at the end of the presentation. And then you will formally end it. So just be aware of that. This we're only suggesting this. Just people you will be contacted with. They may have a different idea about what they want, but this is what we're recommending for everybody who's going to be presenting at Pac Rim. Now, the platform we're going to be using for the video chat will be Zoom Pro. We will be giving you a link to it so you can get on there, and we'll also be making you the co-host. So you will have control over how the Zoom presentation goes on. So I really recommend everybody see these 2 links we have here about how to use the Zoom Pro, and also particularly about our accessibility features. I really encourage everybody to go through that beforehand. It really will make the session a lot easier for you. Okay, so what are the technical requirements? Once again, these are not mandatory, but these are things to think about beforehand. A Zoom background. If you notice right now, I have a Pac Rim background. We will be sending those out to you beforehand. I really encourage you to upload those and use those while you are on the session for the recording. If you have any sort of challenges with it, let us know. It's pretty easy to put it up, but we will greatly appreciate it if you could put the thing up there so people know that you are the discussant as opposed to being the presenter or any one of the other participants. Now this, like I said, if you don't want to do the one that we give, that's fine. Just make a unique one. The main thing is we just don't want a busy background. It's one of our accessibility requirements that you be able to see the presenter easily, interact. So just keep that in mind. Probably one of the biggest challenges that we're all going to have, that we've all had over the past couple of years, with our internet connection. If you can find a place where you have a very stable internet connection, we'd really appreciate it. If something does happen, because we realize it does happen, that things disconnect, fall apart, whatever, just remember, just log out and log back in. We understand these things happen, so just be aware of that. If something goes wrong, log back in and we'll try and reconnect you. Okay, so as a discussant, you will have other people there to support you. Number one will be the Zoom host and co-host. They're going to start the presentation. They're going to end it. They're also going to record it. They're going to turn on the auto captions, make presenters co-host the presentation, turn on the spotlight feature for the speakers. If they require breakout rooms, they'll be also able to do that. So you are not going to be required to do that. Your primary obligation to this session is that you will be this session discussant. You'll deliver a brief welcome. So you're going to say who the speaker is, what the topic is, so everybody attending the session will know who you are, what the topic of the presentation is. Also, at the end of it, they will be reviewing the chat. If people ask questions, they will ask you the questions at the end of it. So you're not going to be required to go through the chat, try to figure out what the questions are. We want to make this thing as simple as possible. Most presentations will have like a 10 to 15 minute session afterwards for people to ask questions. And if you put one in the chat, discussant, your obligation is to relay those questions to the presenter. If something comes up, like I said, some technical problem comes up, let us know right away. We're going to be going through the various rooms and checking on people as the conference goes along. Now, just so you know, There will be a American Sign Language interpreter at each session, and they will be, doing interpretation of what you say. So everything you said will be signed. If you can make sure that your presenter, whoever you're working with, has some sort of vocabulary list for the American Sign Language interpreters and also for the live capture, we'd really appreciate it. It would really make the whole session a lot easier. A lot of times, particularly on the American Sign Language, they have to sort of interpret what your presenter may have to be saying. So any type of information they get beforehand would be really appreciated. We'll also be having a live captioner at each session. So just remember, anything that gets said will be interpreted. It will be, recorded. So just keep that in mind. A lot of times people think the whole thing's really informal, but it's really a formal presentation. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so for the slides that your presenter will be giving, we just have a few recommendations here for making the thing accessible. Once again, I think the deadline for presenters is about February 16th for uploading their presentations. The Pac Rim team will be looking at them to make sure they are meet our accessibility requirements. So you're not required to do that. But just be aware they may make changes at the end. So just if something comes up, just be prepared for it. So the big thing is we want to make sure the font is big enough on the slides. 14 point or bigger is always makes it easier to read. Color combinations, probably a big challenge a lot of people have. We don't want colored text on a colored background. It makes it hard to read it. Just remember that a lot of our participants will be using either a mobile device or some other type of platform that may not necessarily work well with what you see. So what you see on your big computer monitor may not necessarily translate well into a smaller monitor, especially if they're doing something on a smartphone. There will be participants interacting on a smartphone. Just remember that we crunch it down. You want to make sure that you have enough contrast on what your presenter's presentation is, and also how you're reacting to it. So they will have their slides. They've been asked to do the slides by February 16th. Once again, you'll probably be assigned after this. So just if you could just go in and do a double check, we sure would appreciate it. If there's any kind of videos, we would prefer having a link as opposed to embedding the video into the presentation. The reason is because we don't know what everyone's internet connection will be like. So if you can just make sure they have a link there that the people attending the presentation can view it on their own, we really greatly appreciate it. The other thing is if your presenter is going to be putting in links, we really prefer the shortening the link. Some of the Zoom links and YouTube links can be very lengthy. So if they can go in and shorten it, it'll get to the same place, but it'll really help out people who are going to be attending the presentation, be able to access the link and also access the video. Okay, so as a discussant, you do want to make sure that you have a good microphone since you will be the one introducing the presenter. I really suggest you test it out first, like way before the conference. An external microphone is preferred wired into your computer. If not, I realize a lot of computers work very well, but just realize that a lot of external noises can get picked up. Just so you know, I've sat through presentations and also meetings where somebody had an overhead ceiling fan, and even though the person speaking couldn't hear it, we could hear it very loud. So just be aware that there are noises that may not be picked up by the presenter or by you, but just make sure you're in a secure place. It probably has no external noises coming along. Next thing, if there are graphics in the presentation, if the graphic or photo is important, we need a short description of what it is. The important thing is that the presenter give what is the information they're trying to convey. They don't have to explain everything or describe everything in the photo or graphic, just what's the message they're trying to convey. So while the presentation is going along, as a discussant, you may want to remind the presenter that they need to describe what they have in their presentation. Now, thirdly, probably real critical, not necessarily for discussing so much, but you want to make sure you speak clearly and a good pace, so you don't have to rush it. We're not in I realize there's not a lot of time to give the presentation, but hopefully all the presenters will have had time to practice, and we want to make sure that the thing comes off clearly and concisely. So when you speak, make sure you speak at a good pace. The other two things I want to let you know is there will be a live captioner there, so everything gets said will be recorded. Just keep that in mind. I realize this is a formal presentation to a conference, so keep in mind it is a formal presentation. Also, the American Sign Language interpreters will also be signing everything you say, so just sort of keep that in mind for you and your presenter. Okay, so the timeline for everything is hopefully by the end of today, January 21st, all presenters have been notified that they've either been accepted into the conference. So the next phase will be giving them notification of whether it's going to be a live presentation, which as a discussant you will be participating in, or a pre-recorded one, or a poster session. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, by the early next week, everybody will know where they sit in terms of how they're going to be presenting. Now, once a presenter has agreed to it, the registrations are due by February 5th. So that's another time frame to think about. This is not your concern as a discussant, but you may get asked that. So just make sure you are aware of the timeline. Now, for the materials being uploaded, we're looking at it's February 16th to have all the slides put up. Like I said, once again, we want to take a look at them, make sure they meet all our accessibility guidelines. And also, like more importantly, it's going to be that vocabulary list for the ASL interpreters and also for the live captioners, so you know exactly how to interpret what the presenter is saying. So if you do have communication with your presenter, make sure you emphasize these things. It's not a small thing. It is really important. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions for the day, if you do have any questions, please email us at prinfo@hawaii.edu or email me personally, tconway@hawaii.edu, and we will try and assist you in any way we can. And once again, we really do appreciate you being a discussant. It's really important to have that obligation there, and it really will make the whole conference a lot more accessible and also help with the flow of things. So once again, thank you very much.